It's showtime, folks. Enjoy the show.
A fine Saturday matinee to you, Steve Sarmento.
No. You can't
Did
take
I
his
just
thing.
co-opt somebody else's branding?
You can't.
Oh, no.
Just you unless we're recasting that role. Are you going to be the cousin Oliver? Is that what you're doing? You're
less
trying
of a recasting than a reboot. Are you trying to be cousin Oliver? Do I look young enough to be a cousin Oliver to Andy?
We're trying to bring new energy to this by changing things up.
Can I complain to you for a moment? First of all, I have the worst coffee maker ever. May I? I need to leave a 1-star review here for my coffee maker. It is the Cuisinart fully automated grind and brew. So you put the beans in on the top and it grinds it and spits it out into the little basket. And then let me just start by saying it is a completely over-engineered piece of junk that when it counts, when you take the fully brewed cup of coffee or pot of coffee out and begin to pour it, it is a dribble carafe. It just coffee pours out underneath where you can't see it onto the counter, missing the cup entirely. It is there are so many pieces that just don't belong. It's like a first draft coffee maker. It's like they made the coffee maker and said, you know what, there's a hole here. We'll shove an extra part into it that users will have to clean and keep track of. I mean, it's just a nonsense thing. And then I walk in to pour my coffee and my favorite coffee cup, my little round, like champagne or wine glass thermal coffee cup is missing. I don't know where it is. And I woke up in such a Hulk rage that I almost threw this whole coffee maker out the window. It's like, where's my cup? Then no one shall have coffee again.
Are you the only coffee drinker in the
No,
house?
my wife is too, but she went for a morning. She's on a swim team. She went for a swim this morning. And so I have to drink out of poor substitute. Inelegant. It's just a horrible excuse for a thermal coffee cup. How long have you had this coffee mechanism? Had the best coffee maker. I don't know how to say it. Oho. They made a coffee maker that was straight up brilliant. It was 2 carafes. One was a glass carafe on the right, and then the thermal carafe glass carafe on the left, thermal carafe on the right. You fill up the glass carafe, you put the coffee in, and it sucks from the glass carafe and drops the hot water into the thermal carafe, so you don't have to fill any vessels or anything. And you can tell it, you know what, this morning, some of us are going to have tea. So I'd like you to make half a pot of coffee and leave the rest as hot water in the hot water vessel on the left. It was so brilliant. It was a brilliant thing. And the heating element died and they stopped making it. So there were no replacement parts. It is completely useless to us. Dropping cold water over our coffee.
What? You don't like cold brew?
It makes me insane. And so I'm on the lookout. I would if I found a couple of boxes of OXO 12-quart coffee makers, I'd buy 3 of them just to make sure I never live without. I'm going to be that guy using the IBM PS2 keyboard 30 years later because I bought 10 of them because I loved them.
Because you like it.
That's going to be me.
That's all right. You like it. That's the way we roll.
Okay, sorry, but I'm really sorry I had to be so vulnerable with you there about my coffee problem.
What are you brewing? That's the thing.
What are you brewing? You're a coffee guy.
I don't not that much. Not really. We have our coffee maker. It's what is it? It's one of those German names. What is it? I don't know. We got married 26 years ago, so this thing's 26 years old. That's how often we use it. We don't use it that often.
Well, also, coffee makers should be made to last that long. Come on.
Well, it's oh gosh, I can't remember. It's all white. You put water in the top, and then you fill the basket with the coffee, and it goes in. But the whole carafe thing is thermal, and it's nice. Yeah. And I don't know. It's just it's one of those weird German engineered things. Ugh. That's all I know. And we, that's all I do. Then we got Dutch Bros, like 5 minutes from here. So that's
well, right. You brew your coffee drive-through, right?
Mostly, yeah. Because I like it. Here's the thing.
And I remember being at your house, and I opened your refrigerator, and like all your cold brew comes in bottles, like that. I know you don't do a lot of brewing.
I'm a cold brew. What I've got to do is I got to start making my old cold brew.
Yes, you do.
Need to start doing.
Yes, you do.
That's what I
up
need
your
to
coffee
do,
game,
so.
Steve.
Yes, all right. I'm trying to stay off the caffeine though. It's a thing. It's a drug. I don't like I don't like being in a condition where if I don't have it, I Hulk rage and throw things out windows.
I quite enjoy being in that state where if I don't have it, I Hulk rage. I feel like it gives me an edge. Can we talk about movies?
Yes. Sure, we can talk about movies. I don't know. I don't think. I'm trying to think what I watched. Oh, I had, let's see, last Sunday. So I'm going to rage now about physical media.
Oh,
that's what I'm going to do.
This is a fun old saw.
Because, yeah. So I don't know what, a couple weeks ago I had watched the Aretha Franklin documentary Amazing Grace that had been filmed in the late 60s and had sat on the shelves because they had issues syncing the sound, and it was released as an album. It was like one of the greatest biggest selling gospel albums of all time, and it's a great little documentary available on Hulu now. Mm-hmm. So I watched that and I was like, it just got me in the mood for sort of my bluesy roots in Chicago, and I said, haven't watched the Blues Brothers in a really, really long time. Wanted to watch it with my youngest because I thought it's great music, got some great dancing. She's going to love this. So I pull out my DVD of the Blues Brothers, which I should have known because it's one of these double-sided ones where it's got, this side of the disc has the original theatrical release, and you flip it over, and on the other side, it's got the extended version. So I just put it in there, and I thought I hadn't seen the extended edition. I don't think so. We started watching that, and I had forgotten it's a long movie. We're approaching like the 2-hour mark, so we're getting right to the big finale, and it stops. It's not functioning.
It stops like it stopped playing.
It just stopped playing. It just, the image freezes. I'm trying to skip to the next chapter. Anything, nothing. It's not going to get me past that. Try cleaning it. I see it's slightly scratched up. Try the other side. No, nothing. So we're at a point where, no, we're not going to get to John Candy. Orange whip, orange whip, orange whip.
Oh,
3 orange whips.
Man.
Not going to happen. So yeah, very, very frustrating. So I thought, do I buy a digital copy? What do I do? I don't know. So we ended up renting online Alita, Battle Angel, because she had not seen that. So we got through that.
No, wait. You stopped in the middle of Blues Brothers, and a suitable replacement was Alita Battle Angel. Am I hearing that right?
Yeah. Well, she was not totally loving the Blues Brothers. She enjoyed it, and I thought this is more her thing. So we did that. I'm going to come back to the Blues Brothers, I think, over the Christmas break when the other one's back from Colorado, and we're going to do it as a family thing.
All right.
Again, because I can watch that I don't know how many times and love it just as much every single time. But my physical media letting me down.
Totally let you down. I'm sorry, Steve. I feel like, though, you should probably know better because you're already a digital media guy. Like,
I know, but I've got it there. Yeah. Do I really? And so I looked to buy it. And this is where it's all the money game, because in the iTunes store, you can buy either the Blues Brothers theatrical edition for whatever, $9.99, or you can buy the extended edition. It is not one of these, it's bundled as an iTunes extra. 2 separate things.
Yeah.
So if I want both that I have on my single DVD, no, I can't do that. Also, Blade Runner, the same thing. I know several years ago you could buy the big pack of like all 5 in one. iTunes, well, no, you've only got 2 versions. You have to purchase them each individually.
I'm sorry about that.
So that's one of those things where just give me my movies.
I think you may remember I had a colossal hard drive crash, my entire archive hard drive crash. And one of the things that I lost on there, which turns out is not a big loss, but it's kind of a treat that I used to go back to. I had ripped all of my DVDs, my entire collection, back when you first started being able to decrypt and rip all your personal DVDs, because for personal use only, I do not endorse piracy in any way, shape, or form. And so I had all of my movies on DVD, and I remember going back to one of them and going into iTunes and double clicking to press play, and it came up in a 320 by 240 window. This is not the ideal scenario through which to watch Blade Runner. And I had done something. So hundreds of movies.
It was perfect for your iPhone, though, right?
It was.
You could put it on your iPhone.
They were originally ripped for the color iPod, right? The first color screen that could play video. And so I had hundreds of movies in 320 by 240 or 640 by 480. Of course, they're not. They're all letterboxed. No 16 by 9 aspect ratio. And so it was a chuckle and not a huge loss. But I say all that because those remnants of those are still in my iTunes library. So sometimes I'll double click on one and it'll say can't be found, and my heart will sink a little bit. I had one of those experiences actually very similar to yours, though I think it played out better with a movie that I could watch and hundreds of times and not get sick of it. C-Tech Astronomy, Steve, right around the corner. At his Sneakers. I introduced Sneakers to the family for the first time, it went pretty well, although there was a dose, I think, of them humoring me because they know how much I like it. Did you like the movie? Yeah, Dad, it was great.
It was okay.
It was really great. Yeah, that's inauthentic, but you know what? I'll take it. Speaking of inauthentic, turns out, as you have reported in our show notes here, that the Pirates of the Caribbean reboot team is back, and they're working with Craig Mazin of Chernobyl fame. What do you think about this?
Sure. I don't. Why? They have to reinvent this thing. They built the franchise around Johnny Depp and Captain Jack Sparrow. So you'll have to disassemble it, and it's going to have to be something completely different. You can't have another Jack Sparrow. You're going to have to create a different cinematic universe to start this thing in. I don't know why. I guess it might be time for a reboot if people feel that it's aged and hasn't held up well, but I don't have that issue with this. I really think they're tackling something that is unnecessary. There's plenty of other properties to take on. I don't know.
It makes me, this is one of those franchises that when I hear a word of a reboot, it makes me think, what did you do with all the money you've already made? Like, what did you do with it? I feel like I'm talking to my 13-year-old, and I gave him his allowance, and then he comes back with a giant sack of gummy bears and then says, Dad, can I borrow $5 for ice cream? And I think, you know what? What did you do with you just ate it. You ate the money in chewy, succulent gummies. I'm not giving you more money. And that's what I feel like I need to say to do. I'm not giving you more money for this. What did you do with all the money? 2003, 2006, 7, 11, and 17, you have all the money. You have all the money. Stop. Stop it. Stop it. Go make the Matterhorn movie. I'm done.
They got Jungle Cruise coming, so I don't know.
I stand on the record that I think the ride-based movies are fun. I had a good time at the first Pirates of the Caribbean. They got progressively, I want to say more ridiculous, but that's probably too on the nose. And I started having less fun with them, but I've had an enormous amount of fun with the first one, and I think I'm probably going to have fun with the Jungle Cruise. I'm a huge fan of the reboots of the Jumanji movies. Note they're not ride movies, but these kinds of reboots I think are super fun, huge budget, perfect family movies, and great for the popcorn. I just the franchise nation gets a little exhausting. Even though I'm in favor of those two generally. Just make them good. This is too much. 6 movies.
Well, they are keeping. I mean, it's Craig Mazin, who is not known for making family-friendly entertainment if you think of Chernobyl and the Hangover,
right.
franchise. But it is bringing back, writer Ted Elliott, who is, one of the, guys from the original, the first three. So that holds promise in that there may have been ideas, storylines that had been part of the original that just didn't fit, that for whatever reason, as they found one direction there, it closed off some others. So perhaps there's the opportunity to go back to some of these original concepts that didn't make it and pursue those. So I'm cautiously optimistic.
Well, I'm an unabashed fan of Craig Mazin from everything that he does, and his, that was surely cemented with his, with his show Chernobyl, and the stories that he tells about his life living in the dorm with Ted Cruz are legend.
Yes,
they are legend.
Yes.
So he comes at it. Batting 1,000 in my book. I think he's terrific, and I'm one of those people that I didn't like Hangover 3, but in general, the Hangover movies, laughs per minute is high in those movies overall. So I'm okay with that. I enjoyed those films. Anyhow, that was the news on Pirates. Can we talk briefly about what I have to imagine is going to be the high frame rate controversy of 2020, Netflix testing variable playback speeds.
So this is interesting because I think when I was looking around for articles, it was the title, sort of the headline of this article, Netflix testing variable playback speeds, presumably for serial killers. And I thought, well, someone's got an opinion now, don't they, Chris Evangelista? Are you some sort of deranged maniac who wants to watch movies and TV shows at faster speeds? But then he gets into a common trend among podcast listeners is to increase playback speeds. I myself have never done this because I think it's a weird idea. I do it all the time.
I don't listen to any podcast at normal speed ever.
No.
Ever.
And I can tell you, I'm excited about this for one reason and one reason only. When I am watching something for Trailer Rewind, I will watch it. I have my initial view, but then as I'm going back to put my notes together, I will watch it again to make my notes. And Canopy lets you do this.
I know.
Actually, lets you adjust your playback speed. So there's times where I'm like, I don't want to try scrolling and guessing when something's happening because I don't know if this sequence is 4 minutes or 8 minutes. So I'll just crank that speed up for a little bit, let it play through. So I'm still following along and then slow it down if I need to pay attention to some dialogue. So yes, I would not watch a movie just regularly at this, but it is a feature to benefit on rewatch when you want to get to something. So I am looking forward to it for my own personal use.
I am too. I think it's super useful. I think the use case might be pretty small. It's hard for me to imagine, first time viewers of any particular movie going to double speed to get through a film. While it hurts my heart, I can see a scenario where someone's going to look at a movie and say, "Oh, well, that's an hour and a half. You're telling me I can get through that in 45 minutes?"
I don't know double speed. I think the 1.25, which if you have ever watched any shows in syndication, I swear that happens to some shows.
Yeah.
You got to cram Friends in on TBS or whatever. They're going to cut the end credits. Yep. I swear they've ratchet up that speed by a small percentage because it's not noticeable. But I thought this whole thing used to run 27 minutes and you're cramming it into like 19. It seems like, there's something going on.
There's something going on. And so I know, as somebody who makes podcasts and knows that, one of the central features of tools like Overcast as a podcast app is voice boost and silence stripping and, really smart speed adjustments. This is a major feature for a lot of people who just want to cram in a lot of media. And so I get it, and I'm not going to grudge them their, experience. So,
looking forward to it.
And neither of us, I don't want to speak for you, man, but I'm going to go out on a limb. Neither of us are serial killers.
No, you might be the killer if I don't think listening to podcasts at 1.5 speed is one of the factors there.
Yes. I've got one I'm pretty excited about. Studio Ghibli is coming to HBO Max.
You're excited because there's somebody else to give your money to?
I am. You know what? I'll throw the money. I have a lot of films in the Studio Ghibli catalog that I have not, I haven't seen because they just are straight up not available. And so the fact that, Warner Media is getting access to all of these Miyazaki films is a terrific win. And because I know, Ray was talking about in the chat room, we're just in an era where, we're doing the service shuffle, and we're doing the service shuffle for the content. So if I have to sign up for HBO Max for a binge month to get through a bunch of Miyazaki films, I'll do it. And I'll do it enthusiastically. So that is coming hopefully in the fall. It's I'm sorry, it's going to be, I think, in the spring of next year.
In the spring, yes.
And so be on the lookout for that. Mark your calendars for the release of the Unsung Heroes of Japanese animation.
No, I'm looking forward to that, but it's one of these things where I always get confused. What's the difference between HBO Go and HBO Now? And then you've got HBO Max. So because one of those is for HBO subscribers, and I think that's HBO
Now. Right.
Is if you actually subscribe to the cable channel, you can get the HBO Now, but then you can buy HBO Go if you're not, cord cutter like me and you don't want cable. So that my question is, what's going to be the difference between HBO Now and HBO Max, or is HBO Now going away and transforming into HBO Max, or is it a completely different thing? I don't know, because it seems like the HBO Max is Warner catalog stuff. So is it not whereas HBO Go is you get what, I don't know.
You get whatever's on HBO
right now. So
subscription service. I don't know what they're planning there. It makes me wonder if all of these will be consolidated into HBO Max. Like if you get access to all of it, if you pay for the subscription through your cable company, you have a login. Right. I don't know how they could possibly compete with Apple and Disney and NBC and with all of these having without introducing unnecessary service confusion.
Right. Yes, because where will I go if I want to watch Westworld, Game of Thrones? Is that Max now? Go? I don't know.
Go now, Max.
Go now.
Go now.
Exactly.
Max. Okay. Do we have anything else? Do you want to talk about your Big Trouble in Little China box set?
I don't know, because I hate physical media. But
I know.
This
is an interesting time for a rant.
Well, I'm hoping that, I guess I'm optimistic that when you get a collector's edition on Blu-ray, that there will be a digital equivalent of that. But I love Big Trouble in Little China, and the fact that this December there is a 2-disc Blu-ray set with a whole bunch of new things, new audio commentary, a whole second disc of bonus features, interviews. Just having this on Blu-ray. This is one that I swear it was when I was a kid. It must have been on every 4 hours on whether it was HBO or Showtime or whatever it was, because I must have seen this a dozen times and just couldn't stop watching it as a kid because it's just crazy fun. So the fact that we're getting a nice full, Blu-ray with bonus features is something that might have to be on the Christmas list this year.
It might have to. Just looking at the list of new interviews included on this thing, never before seen interviews with Dennis Dunn and Nick Castle and W.D. Richter, and it's going to be a great set if you're fans. And the vintage audio interview with John Carpenter. I think it's a complete interview translated through a digital synthesizer.
But a good old gag reel never, you got to love one of those. Deleted and extended scenes, all of that. Good stuff.
All right.
I think it's the first step of, hey, here's what to stuff in the stockings this Christmas. We're going to start seeing the, bloated, bonus versions of everything. But this is one that, how can you not love it?
Let's do trailers, shall we?
Yeah. Okay.
You're first.
What are we? Oh, yes. This one, there's something about small independent films that I love. And particularly, it seems like you either go horror or you go sci-fi with these things. And so this one is, seems to be fully in the sci-fi realm. This is called Cosmos, which bold choice in name. Because if you're going to be Googling Cosmos, you're either going to end up with Carl Sagan or Neil deGrasse Tyson, but I think they're trying to lump themselves in with those guys. But this is the story of 3 astronomers that accidentally intercept what they believe to be a signal from a distant alien civilization. And rather than going the typical indie route of, well, we're going to shoot just in, we'll shoot in somebody's bedroom as the office or whatever, they're out in the woods. So we've got lots of different locations out in the woods, lots of running around. Very small scale production. I was looking in the notes here on IMDb. It looks like this took them 5 to 6 years to complete. Just a small crew, putting this thing together. But there's something about this concept that I love, of these guys trying to solve this mystery. For whatever reason, they're the only ones getting this signal. What's going on? The mystery of that. The trailer tries to hype things up into some really tense moments, which is like running towards a car, which I don't know that it merits the intensity that the trailer tries to attribute to it. But I give these guys credit for it. And this looks like one that could just be one of those little golden nugget discoveries out there that you find on streaming services. So there is a release date of November 7th. That is the, it's limited release. Oh, that's the premiere in LA, and then limited release November 8th. Actually, the UK had this premiere back in July, so it's been out there. So I'm not predicting that this is going to be in theaters in many places, but it looks like something that JJ and I would enjoy talking about.
Yeah, this is a great seeder for Trailer Rewind. The trailer is nonsense. Like the number of super hyped grab the tripod running sequences is just overkill. Go get your headphones on. Go now listen to this thing. It's just too much. And but I found myself, I'm always intrigued by these movies. I recognize that they're not going to have the budget to do what some other listening to the stars movies have done. It's clear in the trailer that they don't have any of those sorts of tools available to them, and so I'm okay with that. I think our protagonists are 3 charming guys. They are very intense about their listening habits, and I do. I'll watch it. It says it's on demand and theatrical, so this is one I will check out. If only to see how they're able to pick up all the tripods in time for the music to catch up with them.
Well, this is written and directed by Xander and Elliot Weaver, and their filmography on IMDb is a lot of documentaries. So within that area, though, NASA, the Apollo Experience, Apollo 13, Saturn V story, so a lot of that. So it's subject matter that they're familiar with. So I love that they're tackling something they know. So I'm curious to see what story they want to tell with this, but we'll see in a couple of weeks here.
The poster, they went with the Stranger Things revival of 80s poster themes.
Yes. Yes.
And they nailed it in terms of, aping styles, but we'll see who's the fourth person. Who is the fourth person in the trailer, the shadow figure?
They got a good tagline. Only they will hear, only they will believe.
Man, I hope they're able to convince somebody else by the end of the movie, or else I'll be very frustrated.
Yes. So that's what we got. Cosmos right there. All right. And you?
I went for the action, big budget comic action movie that is not in the MCU. And I'll tell you, I picked this trailer yesterday. I was working a swim meet, one of my daughter's swim meets, and I was the door badge monitor. So all I had to do is make
you
sure
were the bouncer.
I was the bouncer. My title is badge monitor and face puncher, and that I would go full Roadhouse if anybody tried to get in without a badge. Well, nobody tried to get in with that. People are kind. It turns out I didn't have to punch anybody in the face. I'm doing it again today, so I guess we'll see. But I watched this trailer without sound, and I immediately picked it because so cool. I watched it for the first time this morning after I picked it for this week, and I'm okay with that. I stand by it. It is a wildly sort of predictable vengeance story. This one stars my man Vin Diesel as the nanite injected sort of RoboCop, and he can heal himself, and when he's injured, his flesh and bone weaves together with the nanites. This is based on the Valiant Comics title of the same name, created by Kevin Van Hook, Don Perlin, and Bob Layton. And it's an interesting character, and it comes at an interesting time when we need we need more characters and more, I think, more screen time of people doing interesting things on screen with comics to see what we can do that's not in the MCU. And will this be interesting? Will this be another sort of original Wesley Snipes-ish Blade kind of a thing? I don't know, but I sure did like the special effects. So if I go in and the sound is broken in the theater, I'm okay with that. I'll just watch the pretty colors because there's clearly some fun work going on here. The writer on this is Eric Heiserer, directed by Dave Wilson. And Dave Wilson, he was on the visual effects team for Avengers: Age of Ultron, so there is at least I guess there is a familial resemblance maybe to some of the tone and texture of this thing. He's a big visual effects guy. He's worked on a lot of the video games, Star Wars video games. He's done the Elder Scrolls video game, BioShock. So he's a guy with a good eye for visual effects and visual artistry. So it'll be fun to see how he takes that to his first feature film. What do you think?
Yeah, the trailer grabbed me from the beginning with this concept of, oh, we've got this soldier, we've got this technology, we're bringing, he died, we're bringing him back. But then he's got these memories and this whole vengeance story of his wife. And then the trailer takes that turn of like, okay, shut him down. Who's the next person we want to put on the list for him to take out? So they're altering his memories. And then I thought, casting Guy Pearce in this, I thought, oh, it's like the RoboCop version of Memento. It's a guy who doesn't have clear memories going off to avenge someone who killed his wife. Correct?
Yeah,
That's a Memento, but with Vin Diesel. So I like that concept of memory altering because it takes us into a whole different realm now of where things can go at the end. Because without that, it's a pretty straightforward, this 20 years ago, this would have been Bruce Willis in something like this, right? So intrigued Eric Heiser. I enjoy what he does with stories. So I'm looking forward to this one because it seems to rise above the traditional, let's revisit the 90s, lone man against the bad system, vengeance story. So yeah, February though, I don't know. Is February the new January? Is that what we decided?
I think January is January off the hook now?
I don't know, because it seems like January's starting to pile up with some things, and I don't know if February is the new dumping ground, but I'm optimistic about this one.
I am too. And you said you like Eric Heiser's stuff. We should say what some of Eric Heiser's stuff.
Arrival,
Bird Box, Arrival, Extinction. He's uncredited on Extinction, but Lights Out, Hours, the Paul Walker film, The Thing, the reboot of The Thing, Final Destination 5. He's got some credits, some intense credits. So I'm right with you. I think I am optimistic about this movie. It's going to be fun, and I will see it, sound or no sound.
Okay, and it also if I'm looking at this correctly, because I'm looking at who else is in this, Tallulah Riley, who was married to Elon Musk twice. twice.
Is that
2010 to 2000? It says September 2010 to 2012, and then divorced, and then married again July 2013 to October 2016.
Wow.
I don't know that IMDb how accurate they are in that information, but
that's fantastic.
That's what I see. So,
wow.
Yeah.
She's isn't she in Westworld? Is she? I think she's in a bunch of stuff.
She's in Westworld. She was in So one of those.
Yeah.
Treading in that sci-fi territory.
Musk.
Yeah. Yes.
Can't hold it together. Can't hold the Tesla together. Can't hold his marriage together. And sends cars into space.
There we are.
All right. What's our list today?
It's like the anti-Mother's Day list. This was upsetting to me when it's because a lot of these I go out, I Google like crazy mom movies, and then you'll get websites that will say, "Hey, for Mother's Day, here's a list of movies with crazy moms in it." And I thought that none of these are things you're going to sit down to watch with your mother. What are you thinking?
Well, that's not.
Or it's like, is it be thankful your mom isn't one of these nut jobs here?
I guess.
Is that
yeah. You're just this is a. Please allow my life to serve as a warning for others kinds of movies. Yeah. It's not good. It's not a good list. It was a tough one to pull together. You're up first. Do you feel like you came at it with any sort of a theme?
No
themes.
No. Movies I've seen. Movies that there's some of it, how is it that the mom is crazy? Some it's, we get into horror territory. I tried to stay away from that where it's just mom is a serial killer, but there's that. Then there's bad moms. Like, well, she's a horrible mother, but does that make her a crazy mom? So I sort of pulled from each of those, but I didn't tread fully into any one of those types. I sort of pulled and said, this is a movie that we haven't talked about before. We haven't talked about it in a while. I want to bring it up, remind people of this. So mine's a grab bag of oddities. Right. And then I was trying to stay away from some things that I thought might be steals. So I think I've got something that'll be steal proof. I hope.
Okay.
Given that it's just two of us, those odds greatly increased.
Yeah.
So I'm starting off with one that I don't believe we've talked about much on the show. One that I saw in theaters. And again, this isn't fully crazy mom, although everybody in this movie is a little bit off, and I guess you could say crazy. And David Lynch's Wild at Heart, when you've got Diane Ladd playing this, sort of abusive mom who I guess in this film is sort of like the Wicked Witch of the West because of, strange things that David Lynch does with shoes and makeup and water. It's one that I think people they focus on his early stuff like Eraserhead or Blue Velvet, and then the really bizarre stuff he's done lately, and this one sort of falls in the middle, and it's one that I had a good time. It is brutally violent at times, but Nicolas Cage and Laura Dern, you sort of fall in love with this oddball couple out on the run. So that's my first, Wild at Heart.
It's one of those that I haven't seen in forever. But I do have some not great memories of some of the characterizations in there. Mine starts out. I tried to keep it with the theme of the month October, and so I went with the. My first pick is from 1992. It is The Hand That Rocks the Cradle. Directed by Curtis Hanson, written by Amanda Silver, and there's just it's a veritable onion of mom stuff in this movie. But Rebecca De Mornay brings it in this movie, and I think with the exception of the very end of the movie, I don't think it ends well, but I think it's a straight up awesome thriller, and between Claire and Peyton and these two characters trying to out mom one another and also ruin each other's lives. I think it's a straight up scary movie. Especially, I think it would be scarier now for me to revisit this one as a parent, because I think the last time I saw it, I was not one. So maybe that's why I haven't seen it in so long.
She did win the MTV Movie Award for Best Villain.
Yeah.
For this. So this one I haven't seen because it just, I wasn't in the realm of types of movies I was watching at that time. And it's like Lifetime movie gone bad. I don't know. Yeah. But that's a different type again altogether that I had not seen, so I can't add those to my list. But
I'm sorry because that is a go-to. Like that would have been an easy steal.
One. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, but I did not know that Curtis Hanson directed that. That's a name that later on I'm like, oh, okay, but early work, and that sort of leads into my next pick, which is very early work for a director that a lot of people know, and this one is a truly independent small film that this was in the heyday of sort of Sundance before it became Sundance, I guess. So this was 1994. David O. Russell brings us a really strange tale of a boy who's stuck at home with his mom and things go really sideways in Spanking the Monkey with Jeremy Davies. I don't know if you've ever seen this one.
No. Spanking what?
Spanking the Monkey, Jeremy Davies, David O. Russell, 1994. You got a student who's at home summer from college, and he's about to head off for some internship, and his mom has, suffered an injury. She's, immobilized. She's got a cast on her leg. She can't get around. So he's stuck. Dad's a traveling salesman who's out on the road, and college kid stuck at home with his mom, and, a few cocktails in, and mom gets weird and things go really not right between them.
Wow.
So it's a dark comedy. It is a dark comedy.
Sounds hysterical.
It is. It's David O. Russell. And,
I am legit a David O. Russell fan.
You need to check this out. It's
not.
early. Yes.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I'll add it on the list. Nice. Oh, what, you've been to, now I've already forgot what it's called. What's it called?
Called Spanking the Monkey.
Oh, how could I forget that?
I don't know.
The monkey. All right. Well played.
Okay. So here's from the plot summary. This is sort of the direction it takes. Ray's taking care of his mother. He has to shower and massage her legs. So he sees her naked and he feels awkward about that. His sexual frustration is increased due to the fact that he is unable to masturbate due to the family dogs repeatedly interrupting him.
Well, I mean, how many of us can't relate to that?
Right. So not one to watch with the kids. Warning, not for watching with the kids.
Nice.
Yes.
All right.
All
right. My next pick. This is not a great movie mom by any stretch. In fact, it's such an incredible portrayal that in a movie like this, you don't expect this kind of character to actually earn a reprieve in the sequel. But that's exactly what happened with our movie mom, Julia, in Hellraiser 1988. Played by Claire Higgins, who is a fantastic British star and has been in a ton of television, particularly, BBC stuff, but she's been in a lot of stuff. And this movie, she's just not very nice. She is a terrible stepmom to her daughter, Claire, and she ends up enabling the straight up Hellraiser sacrifice of Christie's dad. And I think anytime you enable a hellbound sacrifice, you are a terrible, terrible movie mom. Her portrayal is great. She is really a horrible, horrible person. And, she makes it to the sequel. People liked her. People liked seeing her. They brought her back. And that's pretty good. So
I have not seen this movie probably in 32 years.
Yeah.
From when
sounds about right.
Came out 1987 Hellraiser. I remember seeing it and feeling really odd about this movie. It was creepy. I don't know that I saw the sequel, so I did not know that she came back. But that's 80s horror. I don't know. Are the practical effects going to hold up on this? I don't know.
I think they made some really smart decisions around the practical effects of this movie. And I think that, from the puzzle box and the pins, everything that they did really and the chains, it's all stuff that is like tried and true makeup effects. Like you can really sell it. And I think it does. It hasn't been 32 years since I've seen the movie, but I've seen it since, and I still find it pretty gross. Plus, everything's covered in goo, right?
Yeah,
tooth guy, and he's just goo. So yeah, I think it plays.
Okay.
Anyway, there you go, Julia.
All right. So for my final pick, I had to go with one of the most classic crazy moms of all time, and this is, I guess. What in the late 80s and early 90s, one of your ways of showing your true horror cred was knowing who the real bad guy was in the original Friday the 13th. That it wasn't Jason, it was the mom.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy mom in Friday the 13th. And I thought, if you're able to launch a franchise that lives on without you, that you deserve a place on this list. And Friday the 13th, the original one, I think. Everything had become a caricature of that down the road. And so to go back to the original for the top of the list seemed fitting, and particularly in this month. So for everyone out there, go revisit the classic, go start at the beginning and enjoy this journey of a vengeful mom taking it out on campers who, in the late 70s and early 80s, those camp counselors, they were just, having the sex while the kids were drowning in the lake.
Well, of course, as you do.
Yeah.
Yes,
exactly.
As you do. It's a great pick. And also, that was not a series that I trucked in often. It was very much like Halloween. A bunch of us got together. We watched one of the movies or two of the movies and did a little marathon.
But this has got the Kevin Bacon.
It does. It does have the Kevin.
It's got the bacon.
It has the bacon.
Yeah.
No, that's worth it. Now that I've rediscovered, thanks to David Cronenberg, I've rediscovered that I actually can truck with horror. Like I actually like it. I think I need to go back and do some of these epic series again. This is one of those movies that I don't know. I mean, I think it's controversial. It's a Peter Jackson movie, and it's called Dead Alive from 1992. And there is a zombie-ish thing going on with this movie, so you can see why I might kind of like a big fan of the entire thing. Vera Cosgrove is. I just want to say, I'll just get it out. Vera Cosgrove eats her son to ingest him back into the womb. And so it's not great. I mean, it's maternal and it's crazy. And so I think it meets the category of the list. Overall, I mean, it's a movie that actually performs pretty well. It's a 7.5 on the IMDb scale. My memory of it is that it wasn't a movie that really stuck with me, but there are some sequences in that movie that really did stick with me. And so I'm adding it to the list. I kind of don't want patient zero on this. Maybe I don't want everybody to go back and credit me with having watched this because it's that kind of movie. It may end up being one that you just straight up don't like. But Vera Cosgrove is not. It's just not. It's a character that is just just nails the crazy movie mom as she's eating her son, played by Elizabeth Moody.
Haven't seen that one.
That doesn't surprise me much.
No, this is I think when I was working in the video store in high school, this is one that probably I don't know what kind of U.S. distribution this had in the video market back in the day. And again, if I was, fascinated with, following up what was going on with Freddy and Jason, this one, might not have made the cut. But reading the storyline, it's clear that Peter Jackson was going to eventually make a King Kong movie, because this says deep in the lush jungles of the isolated Skull Island lies the habitat of the elusive yet endangered and utterly vicious Simian radicus.
Yeah,
the Sumatran
rat monkey. That's the deal.
Yes,
that's it. And
yeah,
so she gets
bit, huh?
Yeah, it's not good. Like she eats a lot of things, neighbors. But when she when she eats her son, things have gone south.
All right.
I mean,
rated R for an abundance of outrageous gore.
It is,
okay.
and it crosses that sort of line of cultural acceptance.
Right. Yes,
that's one of that's where the movie really stands out, head and shoulders.
Okay,
so that's where we go. There's a list of crazy movie moms for this fine October. If you want to build your watch list, that's one that you can add to it. Now, what are we doing next?
Andy told us that he couldn't be here, but he said you have to include this on the list. Do not forget to include, what was it? For Scanners, we need to make sure we get Shadow Organizations on the list.
Oh dear. Okay, right. Scanners. Have you seen Scanners? Are you a Scanners fan?
No, I have not.
All right.
I've seen clips, have not seen the whole thing. Again, I am surprised because I thought I should probably catch up on this Cronenberg thing. And so many of these are available in like between Hulu, Canopy, and it seems like all this early Cronenberg is out there.
Yeah.
Which I guess because of October, I was really surprised that I'd be able to find a lot of these out there easily. So I've got no excuse. That's the thing. I've got no excuse to not be watching these.
Absolutely true. And Scanners is one where you do have to watch your brain. This is the movie with the legendary head explosion that was a principal effect sequence. It happens very early in the movie, and surprisingly early in the movie for a movie like this. So it's about psychic power. It's definitely kind of a Jean Grey, Professor X sort of a thing. I can control you. I can read your mind and do other things to your brain. By the time it's all done, I can change your heartbeat. We do have this sort of weird kind of Matrix-like mentor-mentee thing. In this movie, we have, what else do we have going on here without completely giving it away? Michael Ironside is in it. Hell, I'd do Michael Ironside movies.
Michael Ironside.
Part of the movie is that this is one of my weirdly significant quibbles with the movie, that they make these actors do ridiculous things with their faces in order to convey the unseen power of psychic control.
Okay, yeah.
And so they end up like contorting their faces to be in control of you, and it's ridiculous. Okay. It takes me right out of the movie, and so I've never been a fan of that. So there is this in the back of my mind. I have this. Could we pull together a list of movies where the premise of the movie requires actors to do things that are ridiculous? Like the premise itself, the central premise of the movie makes actors ridiculous. Look stupid in hindsight. Like actors' regrets. I don't know that I have a list of those movies.
No, but the over emoting or
stupid movie powers.
How do you externalize?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, stupid movie powers.
I could certainly go with that.
Okay.
What do you think? Stupid. So shadow organizations, stupid movie powers.
Yeah.
What do you know about? Surely you've heard about the movie.
I just know heads explode.
That's the extent of it.
Yeah, that's all I know. Because I was not always a big fan of the horror stuff, and this was one where it was like, oh yeah, there's the guy, and it's all I know is something. And I had so much misinformation. I thought it was, people would explode because, and I think maybe I was confusing it with Videodrome of there were things in the media that caused people to, things they watched made them explode. Mm-hmm. So I think at that point I was,
Have you seen Videodrome?
Things. No, I haven't. I have not seen any of the early Cronenberg. Okay. Mike Cronenberg, I think, starts with like Dead Ringers, and that was not a pleasant experience. And I'm not a Cronenberg fan, but I have to say, given the detailed debate about The Brood, I'm going to have to go back and I have to go and watch that one because there's this raging debate and discussion going on about divorce and all of this stuff that Nick and Andy have been getting into that I see that what Cronenberg's doing there is what horror can do really well, which is tackle interesting topics in the genre. So I'm really considering going back to The Brood to look at that as a film that's not just, oh, we're trucking in the horror genre to just be gross, but there's something else going on.
Oh,
so
I think you absolutely should. I think of all of the movies we've watched so far, The Brood is one you'll have something to say about.
Yeah,
I certainly did. And you know, part of what Nick has brought up as an omission of the show was that, you know, was that sort of cultural connection to 1970s self-help culture. And we didn't really talk about that all that much, but it's really, I mean, it's deeply in there. And the problem is, I think as Andy defended, I think our perspective was that the challenge of the movie is that if you don't know that, you don't see it very clearly. Mm-hmm. And so it does make the movie better to know what was going on at the time. And maybe if you were watching it contemporarily or contemporaneously, it would have made a lot more sense. Now it just looks like a cult. And so it paints a different picture of the movie, I think. And so it's a fascinating watch. I really enjoyed it in spite of, you know, again, some quibbles, TM. I do want to say for our final pick, I think we should just go all in on movie head explosions. I just did a little search, and there are so many of them. There are so many movies of great. And so I think we need to just, this is it. We're going to go all in, and we're going to watch as many clips of heads exploding in the month and build a list of incredible exploding heads.
That sounds good.
Does it? Does it, though, Steve?
It does.
I think we're going to do it. Good. So Shadow Organization, Stupid Movie Powers, and Movie Head Explosions.
There we go.
The poll's going up in Show Talk, and I think that's it. That's all we've got to say. Thanks, Steve. It's a pleasure podding with you this morning, as always.
Yeah, yes. Always a good time and covering lots of good stuff.
We sure did. And thank you, everybody, for downloading and listening to this show. You know, if you haven't taken a minute, if you're listening to this on Monday in the main podcast feed, we sure hope you'd consider visiting patreon.com/thenextreel and becoming a member of the Next Reel community for a couple bucks a month. You would be able to watch Steve and I do this thing right now live on Saturday morning. You could have, it's like you're living in the future when you watch the live stream. Most of our shows we live stream. We're trying to get more and more of them on the live stream. You find out more about that again at patreon.com/thenextreel. And to everybody who has supported us already, thank you for your support, for keeping what we do moving forward. And with that, I bid you all a fine, fine Saturday matinee.
Hondo.